Welcome to Kevjet the podcast, Mari-Lyn and Pam, the Conscious Spirit podcast, and TCS Everyday Psychics.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
having us.
Yes. I'm excited to be back.
You are back, and
Yes.
you brought your sidekick.
I did. This is my right arm, actually. So, yes. It's good to
great.
be back.
It's great to meet you, Mari-Lyn.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you. I am excited to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess the first question I have to ask is to Pam. And did you watch the podcast?
I did. Yes.
And what did you think?
Overall, I liked it. You were fabulous. I critique myself quite harshly. So, other people had said that I did great. Jury's still out in my mind about that, but you were fabulous.
I tend to not watch them back myself because I pick myself apart.
Yes.
So I get it, but I think the podcast, that episode is one of my favorites.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun because it's such a different conversation, and my listeners even have been messaging me, and I've got questions for you later from one of the listeners.
Fun. Okay.
But they messaged me and they're like, we love this podcast because we never know what the next week conversation is going to be.
Yeah, because you have really different people on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Which is so nice. I mean, we're not all just one.
We're not one dimensional.
Thank you.
No, we're not.
Definitely not. No.
We all have different interests.
And it's the first question I get asked when they hear I have a podcast. What is your theme? And it drives me mad. And I always say, I don't have a theme. I'm so general and open to any conversation. Yes. And that's what I'm bringing.
And you're a good conversationalist.
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Yes, you're very welcoming. It's very nice. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And variety, amazing. So
yes.
Yeah, it is. Variety is the spice of life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen to that.
Tell me about your friendship and how the two of you met.
Oh, we met through a mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
Pam was at the time doing in-person group meditations and guided meditations. Mm-hmm. And that's how we met.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend reached out to me and said, you might find this interesting. And I went,
I think you poo-pooed it a couple of times, didn't you?
She did. She sent me a message and I went, oh, wait a minute. That might be something I've been actually looking for. Went back, looked at it, found the dates, walked in, felt like I had known Pam my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I started going to every guided meditation she had.
I did 3 a week.
Wow.
And she came. Yeah. And I didn't think she'd be back. The first couple meditations, but I remember the first one specifically, she sat down, I put them all in meditation and she was just bawling. And I thought, oh, she won't be back. People, when they have that kind of reaction the first time, they rarely come back. But she did. She just kept coming back and we just got to know each other. And I realized how crazy psychic she is. And it just sort of and then our love for the paranormal and helping people really became the forefront of our relationship.
Yeah.
And that's so we've been together. I don't know how many years that's been, but we've been together.
I don't either.
Ever since. And it's absolutely meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we.
When did you sit down and say, you know what, let's start working together. Let's get this podcast together. Let's get this YouTube channel together. When did that feel like it would make sense?
Yeah. So
we'd actually started before that in person, but go ahead.
I think it was like 3 months after we met when Pam started talking about working together. And within 6 months, I quit my job.
Yes. And we got a space together. We rented a space together. And then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit.
Not long after, at some point COVID hit. And
That was a crazy time.
Yes. And that's when we went online. We went
Yeah.
online on YouTube, and everything just kind of blew up from there.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Did you have knowledge of technology? Was it something you were afraid of, or did you have to learn?
No, it was, if
We
you
had to learn everything.
yes, going back to our first videos, the first like 20 videos, maybe even a lot more than that, it's really kind of sad there. But we were, we didn't know anything. We were just learning. And certainly in our age group, we don't, technology is just not something we grew up with. I mean, computers were just coming out when I was a teenager. So it was really hard, but we just kept doing it. And yeah, and we ended up just, and it really shifted. So
Really shifted.
we went from clients in person to having no one come in person, and everything was online. It was a big shift. I do miss, I drum. I don't have my drum sitting here. I do drum. It's a shamanic drum. I'll do meditations with the drum or do healings with the drum.
Yeah.
Those I can only do in person. They don't translate well over recording. I do miss that, but everything else is, and we clear homes all over the world just from sitting right here, which is really exciting. So
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's been great.
The technology thing, I still don't get the YouTube thing yet, and I've just started kind of posting onto YouTube. I have the whole audience on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all that. But the YouTube thing, I'm just starting to grow a little bit, and I might have to call you guys for some hints.
Well, we'll see. We know a little bit now. We do.
A little bit.
We know a few things. Yes,
A little bit.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Oh,
It is. Yeah, it is. I think in my previous podcast, I mentioned Frederick, and
You did?
Any of my friends who would visit the house know of him. So and my listeners, actually, I've had a few messages come through since then saying, oh, so there's 3 of you in your marriage, the famous Diana line.
Yes, actually there is. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's more of my specialty. I know in the first podcast at the end, like a couple,
we can talk about that.
Yes. So at the end of the podcast we did together, you said, are there any messages for me? And I was very surprised that I had 2, what we call healed spirits, come through. And it's not something I do much anymore. So it was kind of a struggle for me. I think I did okay. But we didn't know who the woman was that came through, and you did realize who that was, right?
It was just the freakiest thing. So you said to me, give yourself some time and it will just come. She'll come to you. You'll know who it is. And I remember leaving the studio and going into the living room, and I said to Nick, she said this, and I told him all this, and I was like, but there's been so many patients, and I was worried she was going to say it was a patient. And that evening I'm going through my phone and I was trying to find a photo for some reason, and I came across a photo of me at the bedside of my neighbor, and I realized that's who it was.
Yeah.
It's like I was meant to find that photo.
Yes.
Yeah, goosebumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Visible.
It's so beautiful.
And so I knew, and because you had said that she thought of you as a son, and she always said that Nick and I were her sons. And so everything just kind of made sense, and it was actually quite beautiful.
Yes, thank you. That was such an honor to do that. And again, I don't do that with healed spirits rarely anymore. So to have that happen and have you acknowledge it, that it filled my heart.
Yeah.
So I got as much out of that as you did. That was beautiful.
I think I sent you. Did I send you the photo? Maybe not. Maybe I didn't.
No, but you
I will.
had just sent that you. Oh yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So working with the spirits that we work with, the earthbound spirits, the ghosts, it's a very different way of communication than with the spirits that cross over, what we call healed spirits. So that's what I do now, and we do together, which brings us to Frederick, right?
Yes. Frederick, the friendly ghost.
Yes. Well, he wants to be, I think. Yes. So do you want me just to?
Yeah,
So
let's go for it. Let's hear what.
you had mentioned him during the podcast,
Mhm.
and then I had said, well, we can cross him over. We kind of had a little conversation there. Really, yes, many people think that it's sort of benign having a ghost in their home, and that it doesn't do, they're really good. They're, the friendly ghost, Casper the friendly ghost, and all of that. And really, that's not the case. Some are worse than others. Certainly, we've certainly come across much less friendly. The thing is that they live in a lower vibration. They live in a dimension that's lower vibration than this 3D plane that we live on or live in. And they live with fear and depression, with anger, with envy, with all of those lower vibrational vibrations. I always get myself stuck right there.
Emotions, feelings.
Yes. Yes. And they bring that to your space. So the more they're in there, that energy spreads out through your home. There are things called grids, which I don't think we got into. If you
We did a little bit, yeah.
Okay. So the way I sort of look at grids, well, grids are what holds everything together. It's energetic. It holds, it's what they're showing me now. This is an odd way of looking at it, like an ice cube. So you have water that just sort of can go everywhere, right? But you freeze it and has all the whatever that is that it free, and it holds its shape as long as it's in that temperature. You're not beating on it. You're not doing whatever.
Sure.
So that's the way your house, everyone's home is supposed to look, like a big old ice cube. Everything's together. Because of different circumstances, usually it's people, and it's not, you can move into a home that's like this too. It doesn't mean that the people created it, but those lower vibrations, a lot of anger, depression,
illness,
yes, will start crumbling that ice, that ice cube. And that is just fostering spirit life. Earthies come, they see that, they know they can be there, they sort of attach themselves to they have to have humans to feed off of, and it just ends up, your home is just at this much lower vibe. So no matter how many times you go through and you sage or you say beautiful things, you play great music, you're happy, all of that, when those grids are messed up, it's just not going to help. So we need to put those grids all back together, send Frederick home, who, by the way, did keep me up that night after. This happens a lot. Would you like to talk? I'm just yammering on.
You're good. You're fine. You're good.
When he was just checking me out, who is this person that knows that I'm here, that can see me, that can hear me, what's going on? And he woke me up in the middle of the night. And that happens all the time. They know oftentimes before we do.
Yeah.
And they'll come to visit us. So we'll have people who they watch us on YouTube and they say, okay, I need my house cleared. They contact us before we even get the email. The ghost is in our house, like bugging us, trying to figure out who we are, etc. So that is,
and a lot of times they will visit me.
Yes.
Before Pam.
Yeah.
And I have not met Frederick yet. He has not made himself known to me.
Nope, he did to me. Yes, I typically work with much lower vibrational beings than Mari-Lyn does.
So Frederick is just a random name that I gave him. So it'd be interesting to know who he really is, or how different he is to the being or person I have in my mind.
Sure. Yeah. And we'll certainly look into that, because we definitely want to cross him over. We will actually let you cross him up. I will help you. I will walk you through that, or Mari-Lyn will, on how you can say goodbye to him and help him cross over. And that will help you with that feeling of grief that is no doubt going to come.
Yeah, like I was saying before we hit record, I was saying, oh, it sounds strange, but I think I'll miss him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 There's no way around, even if you don't want to have him around.
Yes.
You desperately don't want the activity to be in your home. You're still used to having it with you 24/7.
Mhm.
It becomes part of your planning of your day.
Mhm.
And absolutely, you're going to miss him. And it's not uncommon to really go through all the stages of grief after having an earthy removed from your home.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It becomes a relationship.
Mhm.
It does. You know, every time you walk past that particular room or you walk that part of the house or whatever it is that where they usually are, you think about that all the time.
You may even talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Yes.
joke with him lots of times.
See? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Certainly.
will be a definite shift in your everyday routine.
Yes.
Mhm.
Definitely.
And you have animals in the home.
Yeah, so we have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They will be affected by him leaving.
Hopefully in a
Um,
nice way. I hope they'll
yes,
relax.
so
Animals usually settle in faster than adults do,
yes,
or humans do.
yes, they do. They could do one of two things is fairly typical. They either for a day or two want to be really close to the humans as a way to reconnect. Part of that is comforting you. They already feel safe because he's gone.
Sure.
They want to comfort you, or they might be distant for a day or two.
Sure.
It depends on the individual animal, but
Mhm.
either way,
They will
is
be
normal,
happy.
and they will be happier.
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And probably more active.
Yep,
Maybe
they have-
we'll all sleep through the night.
Yes. Do you guys have a hard time sleeping now?
Yeah, I do. And the dogs definitely do.
I
Yeah.
bet they do sleep through the night.
Yeah.
And your husband just
Mhm.
sleeps away.
Yeah.
Yep. That same dynamic we have in each other. Both our
Yeah,
husbands
husband,
just
yeah.
and we're like getting woke up all the time. Things are happening and they're just like they have no clue. They don't want to know.
No,
They're out. So where did you get the name Frederick? Just pulled that one out?
I just pulled it out of the bag.
All right. And
So
it
what-
could be his name. You never know. Sometimes you do
Could
get
be.
a hit on what the actual, whatever their last life was is usually who they continually are during that time that
Right.
they're earthbound. And so
Sure.
it could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
So what was your feeling when he was waking you up in the night?
I was just pissed. I do not like to be woken up. I don't like it at all. I knew pretty quickly, or I assumed, and then I asked him, but I assumed pretty quickly that it was Frederick. I didn't have anything else going on at the time that, like I wasn't confused. Oh, which house could this be coming from? It wasn't like that. It was pretty clear. And he just wanted to know who I was and what my intentions were, what I planned to do. And I just said, we, because I knew that I'd be asking her, because that's what we do together, would be sending him home. It's time for him to come home. And he did not like that answer. He was not happy with that. Said a few choice words and was gone. And I have not seen him since. That was it. So, and actually I'm feeling we did what we call open space before we got on with you. And so we can feel into your home. We can't see. It's not like remote viewing. I have no idea what your house
Not
looks
remote
like.
viewing at all.
That we don't do that. We're very, very ethical in that way. Well, very ethical in every way, but that particular one we don't do. But sort of feeling into your home, and he's hiding. He's staying clear. He knows why we're here.
Yeah.
Unless he isn't for you.
No, he's sulking.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So he knows. And that's just the energy that he's in right now. When Mari-Lyn, because I assume it's going to be her, but it could be me, you, actually, the two of you, when you begin to cross him over, it's going to register to him when he's allowed to feel that higher vibration of home. Soon as that hits him, he's going to be so happy to go.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you'll feel the gratitude, you'll feel all of that. It'll be beautiful. I
Mhm.
have no doubt. And he really likes you. Like you're that one. Your husband, he could care less because the husband doesn't care about him. And that's how ghosts are. They just are. They never bother my husband because why would they? They don't get anything from him. So like whatevs. And your dogs.
Yeah.
And they
So
like him.
he's not jealous though. Some earthies will get very jealous.
Yes.
Of a spouse that, especially that doesn't give a rat's about them.
Yes.
No, there's no jealousy at all that I feel from him.
Good. So you're tapped into him now. A little bit. Okay.
Just a little bit.
So yeah.
Great. So let's just talk about the process and maybe start going through the process, and that's a great way for the listeners to understand it.
Okay. So we open space, which we've done. So we are actually in the energy of your home right now. We're sitting in, we can feel your home. We can feel the energy. I can feel sorry, I need to back up. So we open space, we call in all the high vibrational beings. We each have different guides that we work with, specifically with the paranormal. I have what are called the guardians. They're my personal guardians. They're the ones that deal with really low vibrational beings. You can call them demons, whatever you want to call them. These are the ones that come in when I work with them. They're not here. I mean, they're out there somewhere, but they didn't come, which is a good thing. That says there's nothing, even the earthy, sometimes if the earthy has been around a while and is very mean and angry and wants to do harm, they will come in. They did not come in, which is a good sign for you. So there's nothing there that is, of that caliber. Just Frederick, do you think?
I think so.
Okay. So then we just start sort of feeling in.
Sure.
Usually the earthies will come say something to us, or we'll get you kind of get this, there's a feeling that you get when there's one around, like they're just watching. They usually at least are watching from somewhere. And then we go through. So we always talk to spirit, like our guides. What should we do next? Sometimes we fix the grids first. Sometimes we cross over the earthy. Yeah. Oh, do you get confused a lot? He is.
Yeah. So when you first started talking,
he just took me out. There's something he didn't want to talk
I was
about.
trying to get more information from him, and he did step out from wherever he was hiding. He had a short top hat. I don't know if that makes sense. Short top hat.
Yeah.
A long, makes me think of like a London fog coat. He loves you in a best friend type of way. He really does.
I think you remind him of a friend that he had, a brother, someone. He was close to someone. That's why he was attracted to you.
And as I was trying to get a little more personal with him, nope.
Yeah.
He went back, and then his energy shifted, not so much to a negative, but it shifted into a stronger, and then the confusion.
Okay. So you got the confusion too. Almost like my mind went blank. Like, what was I saying? What's going? And that's not completely unusual for me. Yet this was, it's a little different. It's almost like he can put like a blanket,
like
over.
A memory wiper.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but
oh my God,
I've been complaining to Nick lately that I have been thinking I'm getting dementia because a week ago I couldn't remember how to turn the shower off. I was stood in the shower looking at the buttons, and I was thinking,
Okay, that's
I
him.
knew
That's
I could
him.
not turn it off. And
Oh, I'm so sorry, Kev. Yes, yes.
He didn't want you to leave the shower.
No.
There was some type of communication that you two were having, and he
Yes.
did not want that to end.
And one of the reasons that I went, ooh, because that night I had forgotten about this. I had told Mari-Lyn something about, because I have a fear of getting dementia somewhere, and that's a real fear for me. And after he had visited that first night, I said something to you about that. Like, is this what dementia is like, where you just go blank and you can't, there's no words to grab onto even. That's him.
You have mentioned this like
Yes.
3 or 4 times over the past week.
Yeah, so I think he's been visiting more
So,
than I paid attention to.
I think so.
I'm really, really bad. I know we get visited all the time, and you just sort of stop noticing. They, especially if it's during the day. I'm
Mhm.
busy.
Yeah.
I've got, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, just whatever. So I bet. Oh, bet he has been visiting
Yes.
me more, and I'm like,
I think he
it's
has
just
been
that one time.
influencing you. Mhm.
That makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
And you would think that knowing what we do,
Yeah,
that when something is a little off, the first thing we do is
but no.
check our surroundings.
Sure.
And it absolutely isn't. It just isn't.
We always think human first. We always think, well, this is a human thing
Yeah.
first.
Sure.
Always, before we go to
Yeah.
paranormal.
Yep.
And you would think that we'd learn by what we do that that's not the case. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind talking to Kevin, I'm gonna.
Oh, sure.
Why not?
I know how to use words sometimes.
I'm gonna, because I want to check in with him more,
Okay.
with Frederick more. And I'm actually thinking there might be 2. Were you thinking the same thing?
Well, what I was going to say when you asked if it was just Frederick, I was going to say yes, or I did say yes. And there are passerbys that come.
Okay.
There could be another resident.
Okay.
There absolutely could be. Would you share with us some of your experiences with Frederick?
Sure. So there's one funny one that I tell everybody when they first, I try and make them feel comfortable with it, because we have a friend who everybody sort of knows who is quite macho, let's say, and came in for coffee one day and was sat at the dining room table. The guest room is directly above the dining room table, and he hears footsteps and says, "Oh, you're somebody's visiting." And I said, "No, it's just Frederick." And he said, "Oh, well, who's Frederick?" And I'm like, "He's just the ghost." And he just put his coffee cup down and left the house immediately. Never said a word. He was pale.
Hey, that's awesome.
Love that.
And so I started telling everybody that story, because lots of people say, "Oh, so is somebody upstairs? Is somebody here?" And so I just, no, it's just Frederick.
It's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So there's never been
funny.
anything scary. There's never been nothing that's made me afraid at all. I mean, there's lots of times I'm here by myself and I've never been afraid.
Good.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
I need to start fixing the grids.
Okay.
And then when I'm done with that, I think then maybe you can tap into him and work with Kevin and
Okay. Sure.
just, but I'm gonna, because I cannot get a hold of him. He's really, really good about slipping through the dimensions and sort of getting out of the way. So I'm gonna clear that first.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share about him?
Oh gosh. Well, he likes to open doors. So funny that I should have mentioned the shower. Whenever I'm in the shower, the bathroom door will open, even if it was locked. So that happens quite often. Bedroom doors will open. The dogs often bark at the walls in the middle of the night. I've never seen him.
Okay.
Nobody has seen him, I don't think.
Yeah,
We hear him, that's all.
he's pretty slippery, this one. The grids are almost non-existent. I'm surprised there's not more. Well, you did have some heart
I did,
issues.
and you know, in the last 5 minutes, my heart is beating so fast.
That's him. Not to say that it wouldn't have happened without him there, but I think him being there really accelerated that. He and then just the lack of grids. I don't know what was there prior to you living there. He was attracted to you again, like there's something in you, and that's very typically how it happens. They don't just typically happenstance upon a house. They kind of search for that vibration. Oftentimes it's the wounding within your wounding, whatever that is, like traumatic events in your life, that type of wounding connects with the ghost's wounding. And it's like this, you just come together, and that's what we call an attachment. It's an emotional attachment.
Sure.
And that's what he has with you. Is your heart still racing?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is we do this a lot, or this happens. I'm going to place one of my guardians with you. So he's just going to walk right up behind you. He'll put his hand on your shoulder. Say hello to him. You can do it in your head. You don't have to do it out loud. Tell him or ask him. You don't have to be friendly. It's okay. They don't take things personal. And just say, if my heart beating is paranormal, take it away. And say that in your head. And if it's paranormal, it'll go away immediately.
It's gone.
Yeah. It was Frederick.
It was Frederick. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like tight chest. It was not nice.
Yeah.
He wanted you to experience what he's experiencing.
Yeah.
Because
and he doesn't want to go. He does not want to go.
He doesn't. And he doesn't, at this point, doesn't fully understand what's waiting for him. He had a lot of trauma in life, what I'm getting. Wasn't always a nice person, even though his intentions weren't always bad. But he ended up doing not nice things. Ooh, I said judgment, and he liked it.
So that guardian will stay with you, and he'll actually stay with you for a couple of days, even after we do this, so you can just feel that safety. And anytime you're feeling anything, because the energy will continue to shift for a few days. So if something like that happens again, or whatever happens, all of a sudden you get a strange feeling, whatever it is, you just ask your guardian, if this is paranormal, please take it away. And like you notice, done, gone. It's like an energetic bodyguard having one around. Yeah. And you're not bothering him. There's, people say, well, I don't want to ask him too much. It's like, no, that's why he's there.
I'd be like, sit here, buddy.
Right. Yes. The grids are clearing. It just came to me like as an important thing. I think Frederick is going to need you, Kevin, to, lack of a better term, release him, like be supportive of him crossing over and going home. So that's why I think it's important that you're involved today.
For both you and him.
Yeah.
Because he's been there a long time, right?
Yeah. I think he's probably, he's definitely been here before I even came into the house, I think. Yeah.
I agree. Yep. And then you came in and it's like, woohoo. That is another person with that. And you're a very compassionate person. And there's something with very compassionate, empathetic people that really resonate with him.
You are who he always wanted to be.
Ah, that lands. Yeah.
Whew.
And I'll just keep. He's ready to go. Or as
well, he's like at that. I know it's happening and I am scared to death. So he is ready for your attention. And
she's going to start crying here in a second.
Probably. If you can just take a deep breath. and relax. And open yourself up to a connection with him. Then this isn't asking you to invite him into your being, right? And if there is anything you want to say to him, encouraging him that going home now is in his highest good, he can heal and he can expand his awareness of life, really. And if you want to thank him, say goodbye to him. The light has just come in for him.
And he wants to know if he goes home and he gets healed and all that, if he can visit you again. Sometimes they do, sometimes they, but that's like, sometimes they need to hear that now to help them. Doesn't mean they will, but
sure.
The visiting would be as a healed spirit, not in his current energetic form. So, and you can do this all in your head. You can talk out loud, whatever you feel comfortable in doing. His resistance is, what is he wanting? I'm just going to talk to him for a minute. If you have any gratitude, Kevin, if you can just let him know that you were never afraid of him, that you don't harbor resentment toward him. Okay, whatever you said.
Oh, she's in tears
Here
now.
come the tears.
They're good tears, but tears.
Well, I don't know what his name was in life, but he has crossed. I don't know if you could feel his leaving.
I had that whole heartbeat racing again, and it's just starting to go away again.
Yeah.
He had a real attachment to you.
Animal.
So I did fix the grids throughout your home and the property.
Okay.
That there'll be a couple of days, more than that. I'm gonna say give it a week. The land, all I could say is empty. Like there just weren't any grids. We had to my teams had to build up the grids again and put them in and bring them back together. So, and that's going to take a few days. It's very, well, the UK is old. It's not, much older than here.
Sure.
And so that's over time, they just start breaking down, and then it turns in there really isn't any, and then people live on there, and then it just kind of goes. So anyway, they're clearing. I cleared your dogs. I cleared your husband. I'll clear you. And really, it's just sort of aligning you to a new vibration that you'll be in, and we're done.
I don't typically get messaging after an earthy has crossed, but I just did receive an immense amount of gratitude for you, for allowing him to be in your life, to be in your home, and for being so gracious with him.
Yeah. Because he wasn't always nice. He wasn't always nice in life.
In life, absolutely no.
Yeah. And then you get stuck in that as an earthy. Yeah. So well done, Kevin. Well done.
Wow. Yeah. That was, I don't know if exciting is the right word, but that was.
Well, we'll talk in like a week and you'll give us an update of everything. If we don't hear from you sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If there's somebody out there who's listening to this and they think I want to contact these ladies.
Yes.
I have a real problem and I think that they can help me. How would they do that?
Yeah, they can reach us through our website, TCS Everyday Psychics.com. We have a contact us form on the website. That form really helps us keep things organized.
That's how. Yeah. And all of our services are on there. You can learn a little more about us on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. And we don't charge for paranormal help.
No, we do not.
It's always a free service. We have different options. It can be on our YouTube channel with us clearing it. That's not always comfortable for people, and that's fine. We have a student, and they're advanced students for sure, an advanced student team. They take the ones that don't want to be on YouTube, so they'll do it, but it's always free.
Sure. And I was going to ask you about the students because I was listening to your podcast and they're going to become more in our face, I think.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Sarah and Trevor, they are going to be more in your face. Yeah,
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yeah, they wanted to do, we used to do this, it's called ghost POVs. And so we would watch video, like reaction videos of ghost hunters in places, and we would give our commentary and say what was really going on in the videos. People love, we just couldn't do them anymore because we couldn't help anyone. It's not ethical for us just to go in just because we want to help, and we just had to stop. And people ask all the time, please bring them back. And when Sarah and Trevor, because they're a team, they work together. We never do any paranormal, never do paranormal by yourself.
Never do it alone.
It's always in a team. And they said, hey, would you mind? And we're like, oh my God, yes, please. Yes, do them. So they're going to be doing that. It's very exciting.
Be coming back, and it's exciting. And I'm going to be honest, it's terrifying. It is.
To have someone else on your channel. Yes.
Yeah.
So, just before I forget, I had a couple questions from friends of mine. So the first question we have is, ask her what she thinks about healing being new age mumbo jumbo.
Oh, that would be, yes. That was after our podcast, right? You got that?
It was. She says, because she says that she sees you as being genuine and ethical. However, there are loads that are not.
Oof. I always say 90, and this is 90% of the, I'm going to say in air quotes, sort of psychics or whatever in this field are uneducated. A big portion of that are just plain fraudulent. They believe their own crap, but they're not helping anyone. They charge a bunch of money and they shouldn't be. That 10%, I do think there's 10%. I think they do beautiful things. We do what's called multidimensional energy healing. We work with people who have childhood traumas. Oftentimes we work with someone and they're working with a therapist or something. So we're not instead of, we're always in addition to.
In addition to is such a beautiful combination.
Yes.
And so funny enough, this friend is a therapist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful if the client, the patient has the right healer, the right healing team, they can really do wonders for their life. That, really healing all of that trauma, finding out who they are, moving forward in their life. You get the wrong one, unfortunately. And just like a therapist, I've been to many therapists in my life. They're not all created equal. Some are just not as good as others. People will ask, how do I find a good one? How do I know? Interview them. Don't just take their word for it that they're good. Ask for a consultation. Ask the questions that you really want answered. Ask them. If they don't want a consultation, they don't want to answer it without getting paid, see ya. You're definitely not for me. And if you don't get those answers that you want, if you don't feel comfortable with that person, walk away. And because there are a lot of people out there, a lot of them who, say they're healers. So you just have to try. But there is a lot of mumbo jumbo. I agree with that piece of it, but there's about 10% that are really amazing. I hope that answers her question.
Of course. The next question is, does she think everyone is capable of developing these skills, or are they a gift?
Yes and no. It's absolutely a gift. I am not a believer that everyone can do it. I'm just not. I'd like to say yes. And I wanted to try to make that softer, but there is no soft way. No, not everyone can do it.
Mhm.
No, you just can't. I have had so many students over the past 20 years. And there are some that just, they want it so badly, but they just, here's something that in our development programs, you have to heal. So there's a lot of the person healing too. And that's what happens a lot. So if you heal your own shit and you heal your own traumas and you're on that path of healing, your gift, they'll come in. If you refuse to do any of that, you're not getting anywhere. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be one of the 90% that.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered that question. I don't know.
Did.
Okay.
Did.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Pam and Mari-Lyn, for this
Yes, thank
wonderful
you.
podcast.
This is wonderful. Yes.
It was lovely to have Mari-Lyn join us this time.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to have
Thank
been
you
here.
for having us.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope it was okay for people. I'd like to hear. It wasn't a typical podcast. So
Exactly. It was very different for a Kevjet podcast, but then again, they never know what's coming next.
you don't know.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
wonders of no normal.
Right.
It is. It is. And no one
Yeah.
knows when Pam and Mari-Lyn will appear again on Kevjet the
No.
podcast.
But
No one
again, I'm
knows.
sure. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much,
thank you.
lovely ladies. And
Thank you so
you.
much.
we will keep in touch and speak soon.
Okay.
Absolutely.